Hi everyone, this is Josh Culp. We are learning a Daf Shvui. We're on Daf Lammed Bet of Masechet Gittin, of Tractate Gittin, and we're beginning one of my favorite chapters in the Talmud, and I think a chapter that's popular with a lot of people because it introduces the concept of Tikkun Olam to the Jewish lexicon. So today, often for many people, the word Tikkun Olam, which is literally translated repair of the world, is usually come to become synonymous with the idea of social justice, of working hard to improve our world. And I'm not one that would deny that meaning. I think words and concepts can change their meaning over time, and that is a legitimate process. And I'm happy to hear that people are working towards Tikkun Olam, the betterment of the world, in the name of Judaism. I think that is incredibly important. But I wanted to talk for a moment about the original meaning of Tikkun Olam, which I think will become clear as we read this chapter, and also just to appreciate the different forms, the different ways that Jewish law is formed. So Tikkun Olam, as we can see throughout this chapter, is adjustments in a law so that people do not get harmed by the law. Oftentimes people who are in particular need in those societies, women, maybe slaves, orphans, things like that. So that's the original meaning of Tikkun Olam. We're going to see a whole bunch of manifestations of that as we continue. And keep track. What does Tikkun Olam mean in the Mishnah? You can also read the 4th and the 5th chapters of Mishnah Gittin and see a lot of examples. By the way, not all of these Mishnayot use the term Tikkun Olam, but they all have that kind of spirit of changing the law for the betterment, oftentimes, of people in more precarious positions. And the other thing I just want to sort of maybe briefly talk about the fact that we have here another source of Jewish law. There are multiple sources of Jewish law. Many of them come from biblical interpretation or descending, they come basically from the Bible. Some of them are gzerot or harchakot, or distances, ways of keeping us away from transgressing biblical commandments. And some of them are, especially in monetary cases, a reflection of external law. And some of these are just enactments. Rabbis act from time to time as legislators. It is much more rare to see that in the post-Talmudic period, but there is evidence of that occurring in the Talmudic period. Rabbis just making up laws. In which case we have to ask, why are they making up such a law? Was the biblical record insufficient? Was the biblical law problematic? There are many answers for those questions. It becomes, as I said, rare. I have an article at home that somebody I know wrote that the Geonim, who were the great rabbis in Babylonia, only made 2 takanot, 2 enactments. In later stages, they make some of them. For instance, a famous one would be Rabbeinu Gershom's takana that Jewish men, at least Ashkenazi Jewish men, can no longer marry 2 women. That is a takana. But they're very rare, and today almost never do we read rabbis of making takanot. They make decisions usually based on Jewish history and texts and legal records and precedent and things like that. So it's something to think about as you continue to learn Talmud. You should enjoy the chapter. I think it's fascinating. And kol kavod for your continuing of learning.